Ladies and gentlemen, my articles in 2015 and 2016 in the Huffington Post, The Hill, and Salon were shared literally hundreds of thousands of times. Oftentimes just for, specific articles that were shared and read hundreds of thousands of times. And the Huffington Post called me the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. The Washington Post said I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters. Okay. NPR. There's an article in NPR that quotes me, and it's actually the title of the article is 5 Statements on the Wrong Side of History. The first paragraph: everyday smart folks make assertions about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, issues of all sorts. This was written December 14, 2015. Remember when I told you that the stock market would crash? I remember when I said the stock market would crash in September of 2021 and that Bitcoin would crash? Well, in 2015, I said Clinton will lose to Trump. This is, quote, our emphatic prediction is simply that Trump will not win the nomination. Opined to Nate Silver at 538.com in August. And Clinton, quote, is unelectable due to negative favorability polls nationwide and within swing states, H.A. Goodman wrote on Huffington Post in October. Sometimes such sweeping pronouncements prove true, sometimes they are found to be folly. Okay, and then it links to an article I wrote, favorability ratings show Hillary Clinton is unelectable and Bernie Sanders wins a general election. So, he is the only electable Democrat for president. I wrote this by H.A. Goodman, October 26, 2015. Now you have multi-million sub-YouTubers who've made names for themselves, or million sub or whatever, claiming to be Bernie Sanders supporters. I can assure you they weren't in the manner that I was in 2015. I can assure you of that. Okay? Now they say, H.A. Goodman, he became a supporter of Trump. Because I explain then, and I've explained in the Federalist, I wrote in the Federalist, why Bernie supporters should support Donald Trump, and I wrote in Salon why the Supreme Court issue, I predicted, basically alluded to or foreshadowed all of this. Okay, here you have a Salon article. I let them know it's not going to end well for the Democratic Party. I let them know every possible way I could. And I was mocked, denigrated, disparaged. They wrote hit pieces about me just because I told the truth. I actually looked into the future and said, hey, don't blame Bernie Sanders supporters. Blame yourself when things don't go right, because it's not going to end well. Hillary Clinton is on the wrong side of everything. Stop telling me I have to vote for her because of the Supreme Court, by H.A. Goodman, November 11, 2015, Salon. People look at this and they say, oh my God, you see, he was so wrong. He should have voted for Clinton. I was not ever going to, because foreign policy is here. This issue was lower on the ranking of issues, although I do think that it's bad for the country. I don't think it's good for the country, no. But it's, in terms of the Constitution, likely the correct call in terms of the Constitution. So the Supreme Court, remember our norms and traditions that Donald Trump took a baseball bat to? Well, the norms and traditions state that if you lose an election, you then lose the opportunity or the privilege or the right to nominate Supreme Court justices. I said Clinton would lose. Nobody listened. Then I said, quote, most importantly, Democrats like Hillary Clinton will never again accept money from, if the Democratic, and then I wrote, or expect to win the presidency after voting for devastating wars like Iraq. If the Democratic Party learns the hard way, it won't be my fault. I stated that 6-7 years ago. It will be the fault of pragmatists who've coddled the DNC for fear of Supreme Court nominees or the allure of political power. I'm only voting for Bernie Sanders, primarily because we still live in a democracy, and I'll vote based on my conscience. Bernie Sanders is okay. So I explained that I'm not going to vote for a candidate backed by the Lincoln Project or who would push for never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, regime changes, or military interventions. That was more important for me then. It's more important for me now. It's the most important topic or political concern for me then, and it's the most important political concern for me now, by far. And Donald Trump and DeSantis oppose the Lincoln Project. This is a very simple calculus, okay? It's not difficult to understand. And the people who refuse to understand this are stuck in a matrix, okay? Just because you were born to worship the Democratic Party and give allegiance to a political party that does really nothing for you doesn't mean I have to. Doesn't mean that I have to fall in line and vote, or anyone has to. I'm not voting for the Republican Party when I vote for Donald Trump, although I'm a lot more conservative on things. So on the Second Amendment, I'm a lot more conservative. When I had to deal with issues on Twitter, a threat on my life, went to the police station, filed a police report on the Twitter profile, and the police officer said, hey, you know what to do. Basically, embrace the Second Amendment. And I did, legally, lawfully, to protect myself and my family. And so the police officer told me to do that. I did, and I suddenly became more conservative immediately. That's what happens. When reality hits you, you become conservative. When you're stuck in this idealistic world where if we just ban fossil fuels, which I actually thought, that's the world I was in 6-7 years ago. If we ban fossil fuels, the planet will be saved. Well, enjoy inflation at 8 to 9% because energy is a huge part of inflation. And gas prices through the roof. It'll hit above $6 this summer, late in the summer, or beginning of fall. And so, you have issues, ladies and gentlemen, where Democrats, everything they touch turns to the fertilizer that is 400 to 500% more expensive. Okay. You have a problem with Democrats not understanding they don't have a functioning primary and they cheated their own candidate. When you cheat your own candidate, ladies and gentlemen, don't expect good things to take place. They cheated Bernie Sanders, the only person capable of defeating Trump. I said Clinton would lose. Then they lost 3 Supreme Court justices. But again, it's like, I wrote this article vindicates me. If anything, people will say, oh, well, you know what? He should have voted for Bernie Sanders, and that's the type of person that, no, it's like, you cheated a candidate. You shouldn't have had your little game, the little ploy, the little despicable, insidious game or political stunt of just having a Green Party candidate run in the Democratic Party, which is Bernie Sanders, and getting all the far left to vote for Democrats, didn't work out. It's not working out. Or it didn't work out in 2016. Maybe it worked out 2 years ago. Okay, but it didn't work out in 2016. And so I wrote in Salon, and NPR quoted me. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. Why? Why did the Kremlin want everyone to learn about the DNC emails? Think about how stupid that is. Think about how much of an imbecile you'd have to be to believe that another country wanted you to learn about the DNC primary, the inner workings of the primary that is completely preordained and fixed. Okay? Think about how much of an imbecile you have to be to think that another country hacked the DNC emails, but not Clinton's servers with top secret and special access program intelligence. So you did this to yourselves. And I told everyone in NPR quoted me, the Huffington Post in 2015, numerous times I said Clinton is unelectable. All right. Then I said, and Salon and The Hill and MSNBC, CNN, I was like telling everybody, the whole planet, I'm like, look, you can't, if Clinton becomes the nominee, she will lose. Now, I want a Hillary, Donald Trump 2024, or Hillary Clinton, DeSantis 2024. I want to do this all over again. But don't blame Roe v. Wade on Bernie Sanders supporters or Trump or the Kremlin or any other conspiratorial theory that you believe, Democrats. Blame it on yourselves. Everyone who is outraged right now, look in the mirror. Actually, if you're too young to really, if you weren't into politics, maybe you don't have to, but then look at the Democratic Party. If you're a Democrat, and all those wonderful Democratic journalists and pundits who went after me in 2016 and 2015. Go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. This is your fault. Absolutely your fault. You were very, very confident and arrogant back then. And I said, don't be too arrogant. And I said in Salon and in the NPR article that quoted me, Clinton is unelectable, but you elected somebody who was unelectable. And you cheated. You cheated Bernie Sanders. And this is about cheating Bernie Sanders. And it's about norms and traditions. You have to deal with it. And when Democrats don't get something, I agree that it's not good for the country, but in terms of the Constitution, it's probably the right call, which is what the Supreme Court does, interprets the Constitution. But Bernie Sanders, the Democrat, who would have won had he not been cheated, would have defeated Trump and gotten those 3 Supreme Court picks. Okay, so very simple to understand. But again, I think Donald Trump is a million times better than Bernie Sanders ever could have been. We're just looking at the economy right now. And again, it's pretty simple to understand, but we'll see if there's no way that Democrats will look in the mirror, unfortunately, but they should. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Huge, huge day. And I told everyone in NPR and in Salon and in everywhere else, I said, in the Huffington Post too, I said this would take place, and it did. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the stock market crash channel and the Bitcoin crash to 10,000 or lower channel. That's below in the pinned comment description.